Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. But before we get started, let me tell you, folks, we are flooding here in Kingwood. We're flooding here in southeast Texas. There's a whole lot of water coming from up north through two of our major rivers, which is the San Jacinto River and the Trinity River. We are in deep caca for all good purposes right now. I've been driving around the neighborhood to check out on how high the waters get or whether it's even going to get to me. Well, we don't know exactly what's going on right now, but we'll keep you posted. Anyway, welcome aboard. Let's see who we've got here. Eric Hayes, welcome aboard. We also have Rajo Kanzar. Hi, how are you doing? We also have Paul Fleming. How are you doing this afternoon? You have El Señor E2247 all the time. Welcome, my brother. Paul Fleming from Atlanta. Oh, I didn't say where people are from, so let me go in order. AVQ, meaning Michael Rudden from Brooklyn, New York. We have Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. We have Rajo Kanzor. I don't know where you're from. Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood. E2247 from all over. We also, Rajo said he's from Pakistan. Welcome aboard, Pakistan. Great to have you here. And who else have we got? All is fine. All is fine. Anyway, folks, don't forget to give that up arrow. And if you're on Twitter, please remember to retweet and like. If you're on Facebook, please remember to like and share. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, as well as what do they call it on Facebook? Go ahead and subscribe to our network. Anyway, we're going to have a great show for you today. Michael Radin says, NBC News, mandatory evacuations ordered in Texas after heavy rain and floods. People in Harris County, home to Houston, were told to either leave or be ready to stay where they are for up to 3 days. Yep, it's bad. I went to look at the lake close to the house, and it's at flood stage. In fact, all the walkways where people walk, etc., underwater. And it seems like Eric says we're going to flood. Eric, I just saw your message and I hadn't gotten a chance to look at it and understand it completely. So what I'll do is I'll take a look at it and go over to the San Jac and see what the San Jac Authority is saying. I'll go ahead and do that a little bit later. I see that you sent an image here. Let's see. I'll go ahead and check that out in a minute, my brother. I'll check that out in a minute, my brother. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael Rosa Egberto, part of a trend. Texas Tribune, flood risks in Texas are increasing as climate change brings heavier precipitation, stronger hurricanes at sea level rise, and the state's population continues to climb. More than 2.4 Texans live in areas that have 1% chance of flooding each year, known as a 100% floodplain. It's kind of getting worse than that. Deb Denny is in the house. Deb Denny, where are you from again? I can't remember what city and state you are from. Remind me so I can keep it in el cráneo. I can keep it in my head. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I have an interview. Tomorrow is voting day in all of Harris County. And there is an important election called the Harris County Appraisal District. Actually, it's the Harris County Central Appraisal District, but we still refer to the Harris County Appraisal District. Please go ahead and vote there. I am supporting one of the people that I'm supporting on that list, but I am supporting everybody that you're going to see here. I am going to go ahead and play this video right now. It's an important interview, and then we'll take it on the other side in the meantime. So stay back, folks. Come on and join on in with the party. Let's get busy. Welcome to another edition of Politics All Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Today we are honored to have Melissa Noriega. Who's Melissa Noriega? Melissa Noriega is a former Houston City Council person and a former Texas State representative. She is a graduate of the University of Houston. She is a Cougar. She is running for Harris County Appraisal District 2, an election that has consequences that few people know about, that by Saturday they better know about. Melissa, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Getting ready for Saturday. It's election day days from now.
Well, let me ask you first of all, what exactly is this position that you're running for?
Last summer, there was a tax bill passed, Senate Bill 2, and we voted on it across the state in the fall. As part of that bill, there were 3 positions created in all counties over 75,000. There are about 50 counties that qualify, and each of those counties has to elect 3 appraisal district board of governors, directorship kind of things in each appraisal district as a representative of the regular folks out in the voting world.
Now, what is going to be the job of these 3 new additions to the Houston Appraisal District, or rather the Harris County Appraisal District?
It's the Harris Central Appraisal District. They changed it last year, and everybody says Harris County, but even sometimes we do. But it's Harris Central Appraisal District, and they have a pretty much a monthly meeting. They handle all the personnel and HR activities. They approve the membership of the Appraisal Review Board. If you've ever protested your taxes, that's who you appear before to negotiate what you're going to pay in your tax appraisal. And they do, the sort of administrative things that a board of directors would do. They don't directly affect your taxes in the sense that they don't set the tax rate. That's done by the legislature or by the various entities that collect taxes. In this particular group, it would be Harris County, HISD, the smaller school districts in the city of Houston.
So let me see if I get this right, though. You said that you all pretty much are going to vote for those people who are going to interpret, let's say, your appraisal, etc., which means they can raise or lower your appraisal, that sort of stuff. While you will not be doing that, the people that will be doing that, you are in charge of getting together. Is that correct?
We approve the folks. They're typically like a small committee, and there are citizen volunteers that do it, and they're chosen by the staff of the appraisal district, but they are approved by this board.
So therefore, you have a lot of influence in the kind of folks that you get there, since you have the ultimate goal of saying yay or nay.
It's interesting. These positions have been there in the past, but they were appointed. Now there are 3 elected positions, and 2 of them have to agree on every appraisal review board member. Right. So not only are you deciding that, you have to agree and have some veto power over it.
Okay, so as I see it, then you will have, and even though you don't have direct influence in the appraisal of property, you do have indirect influence on the appraisal of property, and that can actually have a material effect on how much money is collected for the county, and also, and that being said, how much services or lack thereof a county is able to provide, right?
Right, and they are also responsible for the website. If you've ever looked up property values on HCAD, that whole process is supervised by this organization and then the board of directors.
So I mean, as I see it, it's a very important position now. You've been a state rep, you've been a city council person. It seems to me like you know the ins and outs of the way things should work. To give us a reason as to why people should vote for Melissa Noriega for this particular position. I think you have 2 other candidates that are running. There
are actually several folks running in place too. I would tell you that they created these positions last summer. They wrote it into the bill and they made them happen. I think it's possible that there are a lot of things they could make happen with these positions. They don't have to do it today. They could do it next session or the session after that. They could change how we collect taxes or how transparent or not transparent it is. There are a lot of things about different communities and how their appraisals are handled. For example, there's a Brookings Institute article that came out that talked about Black families and how they're paying 13% more than their fair share of appraisal taxes, and their properties are undervalued 25%. That kind of thing you can look at. You can do studies. You can see if everybody is being handled the same way. Is it fair? Is it transparent? Is it appropriate? Are we giving everybody a fair shake? And I think some of that is handled in Austin. And I think there's going to be a lot of interaction between all of the entities that collect taxes, particularly the schools and the legislature over the next few years. And I think having somebody that understands that is an important thing. I want to point out that I have been in elected office. Before that, I worked for the school district. I was an educator at HISD for a long time. And so I've actually worked in the school district, in the city, in the state, and then this would be at the county level. And all of those things have to work together to make sure we have the resources for our kids, for ambulances, for roads, all of those things. There's been discussion at the state level about eliminating property taxes, and your first reaction might be, oh, yes. And no one really likes paying taxes, but I'm going to tell you that would drive sales taxes up 25 to 25%, maybe even 40%. And it would affect folks that have less resources the most. So I think there is opportunity here for both good and bad, and having somebody that can pay attention at all those levels and understands how it works is important.
I think you just pointed out a very important thing, that if we get people up in this position that are playing shenanigans with our appraisals and property tax rates, etc., we're going to have to mitigate it with sales taxes. And sales taxes is what's known as a regressive tax. What that means is that poorer people pay more as a percentage of their income and wealth than a wealthy person. And it's something that's been happening throughout the country for a long time. So I think it is important that the mere fact that you brought that up tells me that you understand the job. So in closing, why don't you tell us, first of all, how can people vote, why they need to vote, and why they should vote for Melissa Noriega?
The first thing, Saturday is it. That's it. Early vote is over. You need to go to harrisvotes.com, look up your address, and find out where you can vote that's closest to you. A lot of the voting locations you're used to have been consolidated, and it may not be your usual voting place that is the one that's open closest to you. In addition to that, some of the outlying areas have multiple elections. This is all of Harris County. This isn't just the city of Houston, and it isn't just one entity or another. It's the whole of the county, some of which have MUD district elections, some of which have school district elections, and then there's this election. And in the city of Houston, unless you're in Senate District 15, which is the race for the unexpired term for the mayor that we have now, you don't have anything else on the ballot. So you may really not realize there's an election. We don't normally vote in the city of Houston in May. So there's a runoff election in Senate District 15. And then the rest of the city has 3 little places all by them lonesome that need to be voted on. But if you go out to the suburbs outside the city limits, you could end up actually going 3 different places. You could have to vote for your MUD district leadership at one place, your school district school board members at another place, and this at a third place. That is not unique to this election, but it is confusing, and it's particularly confusing if you're not used to voting at all in May. So that's the first thing. Harris votes.com, figure out where to go, and then go on over there with your driver's license and vote.
That is a sad case. So again, harrisvotes.com, harrisvotes.com
harrisvotes.com.
to find out where
And
you need to.
it's a great resource. It's a great resource. It'll tell you just where you can go, and you can search it and find where you need to be. I would tell you, I have a record. I have experience at multiple levels of government. I have spent my adult life trying to really be a public servant. I've served on my civic association board. I'm currently on the board for New Hope Housing. I've worked in the arts district over here in the East End. That's really, been a real influence on what's going on in this part of town. I will tell you, one of the things that I've observed over time as I worked in the neighborhood, both as a city council person, state rep, whatever, people would talk about gentrifying and they were uncomfortable about it and they were worried their taxes were going to go up, particularly seniors. And I realized at some point that a lot of folks don't realize that there are exemptions. There are exemptions for over 65, for disability. There are things you can do to make sure your taxes are appropriate for you. And some people don't know to take advantage of that. That's another thing that I would like to see. I would like to see more information out into the community, more support for people. Just the form itself is so confusing. When I looked at it and I had to set it down and think about it and go back and look at it because it's a lot. If you are one category, you have to have it notarized, but not the other. I mean, really. So I think there are a lot of things that can be simplified, can be encouraged, folks can be educated. We can make sure the process is fair, transparent, accurate, appropriate, and trying to get things done in government, whatever level, whichever entity you are, is always a challenge. You can find it tough going if you haven't had experience in working your way through how bureaucracies work and how this stuff gets done. And I feel like I did a pretty good job at the city level getting things done. I was the chair of public safety. I was the chair of transportation infrastructure and technology. And I got things done. And I'm not a drama queen. I'm not going to be making a lot of speeches and being on TV or doing that. I'm just going to put my head down and go to work and try to make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. And if there are things that need work, I'll do my very best to fix them. We need the resources that taxes supply. We don't need to put every single burden that we have on middle and lower income homeowners. And I think there's things we can do to make all of that much better.
Melissa Noriega, folks, place number 2, go to vote. Go to harrisvotes.com. Go vote tomorrow, folks. This will have or could have a material effect on your taxes. And you want somebody who is looking out for the middle class. You want somebody who's looking out for those with limited resources. Melissa Noriega, a former city council person, former Texas state representative, and a graduate of the University of Texas, a Cougar. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And guess what? I went ahead and voted in that election on Tuesday, early vote on Tuesday, but tomorrow is the day. Those of you who are in Harris County, Texas, tomorrow is the day to go out and vote for Melissa Noriega and the other two that you see that I had in the list. There, interestingly, I know Melissa for quite a long time now. She is an excellent candidate, and she would make an excellent board of directors on the HCAD, the Harris Central Appraisal District. Now, it's like minds think alike. Paul Fleming talks about Representative Henry Cuellar from Texas, South Texas. He got indicted, right? Here's the deal, folks. I supported when this guy was Jessica Cisneros, a real progressive young woman, came this close to beating him in the primary. And even as people understood that this guy was crooked, right? His constituents still elected him by a little bit. And look at what is happening now. It's funny. I hope she points that out, and I hope she reminds the audience. Texas Representative Henry Cuellar and wife indicted on bribery and foreign influence charges. DOJ charges that the Democratic congressman used his office to influence U.S. policy for Azerbaijan. He and his wife, Imelda Cuellar, are also accused of money laundering. Let me get to the story proper. It says, from Washington in the NBC News. The Justice Department on Friday released an indictment against longtime Representative Henry Cuellar, Democrat of Texas, and his wife Imelda, charging the pair with bribery and money laundering related to their ties with the big bank in Mexico and oil and gas company controlled by Azerbaijan. NBC News was first to report that the charges were coming. The congressman and his wife were each released on a $100,000 bond after his appearance in federal court in Houston, a DOJ spokesman said on Friday. According to the indictment, from 2014 to 2021, the Cuellars allegedly accepted roughly $600,000 in bribes from the two foreign entities in exchange for the congressman performing official acts. The bribe payments were allegedly laundered pursuant to sham consulting contracts through a series of front companies and middlemen into shell companies owned by Imelda Cuellar, who performed little to no legitimate work for the contracts, the DOJ said in a statement. In exchange for the bribes paid by Azerbaijan Oil and Gas Company, Congressman Cuellar allegedly agreed to use his office to influence U.S. foreign policy in favor of Azerbaijan. DOJ continued, in exchange for the bribes paid by the Mexican bank, Congressman Cuellar allegedly agreed to influence legislative activity and to advise and pressure high-ranking U.S. executive branch officials regarding measures beneficial to the bank. The congressman and his wife are each charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit bribery of a federal official and to have a public official act as an agent of a foreign principal. 2 counts of bribery of federal office, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 2 counts of violating the ban on public official acting as an agent of a foreign principal, 1 count of conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering, and 5 counts of money laundering. If convicted, they could spend years or even decades in prison. And if in a statement Friday before the charges were unsealed, Cuellar denied any wrongdoing, saying that he had proactively sought legal advice from the House Ethics Committee, which had issued more than one written opinion about the matter. Much of his statement focused on his wife. And let me tell you, all of the people, all of the establishment Democrats came to Texas. I think it was Nancy Pelosi came. I also think the guy from South Carolina, the congressman from South Carolina, what's his name? South Carolina congressman. I can't remember his name right now. He came in support of him as well. Instead of for Jessica, South Carolina Democratic congressman. Let's see, I can never remember his name, but I'm going to look it up right now and let you know what it is. We're talking about Clyburn. I think Clyburn came down, if I recall correctly, to campaign for him. The fact of the matter is, those incumbents all stuck together, even as we knew he was a corrupt crook. Now, here's the difference between Democrats, real Democrats, I'm talking about that, neoliberals, etc., and MAGA as well as Republicans. They double down against their corrupt convicts. They double down against their people that are corrupt. We want the corrupt folks out. We want the corrupt people out. Because you know what? We believe. Yes, Eric Hayes, there will be an Ask Egberto tomorrow. Let me go ahead and put that link in the chat for you right now. Thank you for asking about that. I am going to put the Ask Egberto. Please sign up for Ask Egberto. It's at 11 Central. It's free to sign up. Here we go. Ask Egberto. politicsdoneright.com/Ask Egberto. politicsdoneright.com/Ask Egberto to sign up for our Zoom chat. Anyway, as it turns out, Democrats, we get the corrupt person, we throw them out. That's what it's all about. That is what we believe strongly. That is how things should operate, right? But again, not every party thinks that way. Cuellar, we always knew the man was a crook. We always knew the man was a crook. I tell you, I'll be honest with you though, I didn't know how crooked he was, however. But let me give some examples as far as parties are concerned now, okay? Let's look at this that's on the screen, folks. This is an important document on the screen. When we talk, I earlier told you that under democratic rule, our economy always does better. The GDP is higher, it's quantifiable, it is numerical, okay? But it's not only that. I want you to take a look at the screen. Federal indictments under Obama. All right, let's start with Biden. Federal indictments under Biden, zero. Federal indictments under, I'm talking about people who work for the executive. Federal indictments under Obama, zero. Federal indictments under Carter, one. Federal indictments under Clinton, two. Federal indictments under George H.W. Bush, that's the first Bush, one. Federal indictment under Ford, one. But check it out now for the crooked ones. George W. Bush, 16 federal indictments. Reagan, 26 federal indictments. Nixon, 76 federal indictments. And here's a big one. Here is the kicker. This is the one that dumps them all. Under Donald Trump, 215 indictments. All right? Let's be clear here, folks. There is a party, one of our party, it has corruption intrinsic to the party. And the numbers speak for themselves. Tom C says, Eric, are you coming to ask Egberto from hell or high water? I think Eric's home is going to be fine. I'm hoping that Eric's home is going to be fine because I went to the lake to check again and it hadn't moved up substantially from yesterday, even though they say the peak is going to be sometime tomorrow, or the crest sometime tomorrow. So we'll see. Anyway, so there is a party that is a deficient party, and the biggest problem is that people don't understand how bad the party is, how crooked the party is. But the numbers speak for themselves. The numbers speak for themselves. Tom C, I hope you have a limerick for us today. I hope you have one. Politics done right with Egberto. Let's see. Was it the opposite party in office? Them said, no, no, no. It is. Let me tell you again. That this is there's look. These guys are crooks. There's no excuse for it. While Obama was in power, many times he had to work with a Republican Congress, and they still couldn't get anything. He was so squeaky clean. They still couldn't get anything on the brother. All right, Paul Fleming says former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was turned away from a polling station after forgetting to bring identification to vote in the UK's local election. British media reported Friday that Johnson, who introduced the requirement for voters to provide ID with a photo when he was in office, was told by polling station staff in South Oxfordshire Thursday that he would not be able to vote without proving his identity. I love it. What's good for the goose is also good for the gander. I love that. I love that. Okay. Lee Grant says, good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. Paul Fleming, the myth of drug expiration dates. It turns out that the FDA, the agency that helps set drug expiration dates, has long known the shelf life of some drugs can be extended, sometimes by years. I use aspirin that's probably 10, 15 years old. In fact, the federal government has saved a fortune by doing this. The truth of the matter is, I don't know what would make if you keep the product dry without any involvement with other products, and it's a stable product, meaning that it's the chemical makeup of that product doesn't have any interaction with each other as a product. I don't see why it couldn't last forever. You can have stuff stored in cans for decades, right? And it turns out to be still very good food. Thank you for that one, Paul. Paul also says in this economy, we're constantly interacting with algorithms, whether we're paying rent or booking a flight. They can also dictate how much Americans pay for healthcare. We must ensure that insurance companies aren't colluding to set prices that the disadvantaged consumer. Look, what I want to do is I want to eliminate insurance company in the healthcare space. They have no purpose in the healthcare space other than bringing misery to people. That is what health insurance does to people. That's what drug companies do to people. These are things that belong in the public domain. All right, let's see what else we got here. Every case says you should have to provide identification in person and out of person. Well, again, that's what caught the prime minister, right? Fleming says more states are allowing child support payments to reach children since a ProPublica investigation found that states were seizing child support headed to families as reimbursement for the mother having received welfare. At least 6 states have changed their policies. Others are debating doing the same. These states are crooked. They just show how much they hate the poor. Eric Hayes, I think you sent me that one, Eric. Let me see if I understand what you're saying. Need engineer help question. At 59, they lowered the peak at 61. I think, are you talking about at Highway Interstate 59, or not interstate, at Highway 59, they lowered the peak altitude of the flood to 61 feet, and now it is 55 feet, which is Imelda level. Yeah, it's at 55 right now. I just checked the meter a few hours ago. It was at 55. But is there a way? Let's see. Is there a way somehow ballpark if Lake Houston Dam is at 46, Harvey was 43. If Crest is at 61, does that mean we are 6 feet to the 46 and will be a record? No, I don't think so. I think the number if I'm understanding what you're asking correctly, I don't think you need to mix apples and apples, okay? I think, if I'm understanding you correct, the crest at 61 is at 59, which is at the same level, almost at the same level of Lake Houston. That's where I think the pool is. In other words, a river is on a constant slant downwards, right? So as the height of the river in Conroe, I don't know what it is, but it will be higher than the basal height of the river in Kingwood. All right. So when they are talking about the Creston at 61 feet, they are talking about, yeah, I know what pool is. Pool is a steady state. That's the number that they want, where they want to keep that lake. Just like the pool in Lake Conroe is, I think, 201 feet. The pool at Lake Houston may be 42 feet. I didn't look it up, but I take your word that it's at 42 feet. Now, if we're going to 61, that means it's going to be 19 feet above 19 feet above pool. And I don't know what, let me, I don't, let me give my elevation. Let's see. I'm going to look for my elevation and see what it's going to be. Bear with me 1 second. Because you give us a good exercise. You gave us a good exercise, my friend. You can put your address into Google, generally speaking, and find out what your elevation is. I thought it was Google that you could put that into, but it's not giving my elevation. Let's see if I can find my elevation. I want to find my elevation. It doesn't give me my elevation. Let's see. Find my elevation. Let's see if that's what it is. I used to do that a lot when it came to coming to when we had all those floods here in Kingwood. There we go. There's one. All right. Let's see if this one works. This one may work. I'll tell you what it is, and then if this one works, I'll post it right here right now so that people who are susceptible to flooding right now will be able to. Hold 1 second. Let me do this. All right. Okay, great. Let's see. Where feet meters? Oh wow. It doesn't give me it's giving me bad information. Oh, here we go. All right, here's the deal. Like my home is at 67 feet. And so it does work, okay? My home is at 67 feet. If the crest is at 61, it means I have 7 feet to give. And that is a bayou behind my house, to tell you the truth, right? That bayou behind my house is just probably, when you take a look at it, it's going to have some water in it if the lake gets to 61 feet. Like we see it all of the time, right? But at 67 feet, it means that I am safe. Now, let me give you that link, Eric, and you can just put your home in there. They'll give you what the crest value is going to be, and you can see if you're going to flood or not. So here it is. Go to that. I just placed it in here. What is my elevation.com? Put your address in there, Eric, and see if it's greater than 61 feet or not. If it's greater than 61 feet, you will not flood tomorrow night. If it's under 61 feet, it's iffy. Okay? So check it out and let us know. Let us know what it is, to be sure. Okay, Harvey was record 50. Record. The 61 was 69 during Harvey. Yeah, and I believe that because there was 7 feet of water inside of Starbucks and inside of HEB. Oh my God, Eric, that can't be right. Did it tell you you're at 50.5 feet? But if here's the deal, how can you be at 50.5 feet? The river, the lake is currently at, I think the lake level is currently at 55. That would say that you have 5 foot of water in your home. I don't think that's possible. Check, because the level right now is at 55. Wow. Let's verify that, Eric. Let's verify that. Let's really verify that. Anyway, folks, let me go ahead and play the other video that we have. This one has to do with a call that I had right now. So let's go ahead and check this out. And then I want to go to see Lake Houston and see what number it's at. So let's go ahead and play this video. And while I do that, I'm going to go check the levels at Lake Houston. Let's do this right now. Okay, let's go to Jeff. Line number 1. Brother Jeff, come on in.
Hello, Egberto. This is Jeff. I haven't talked to you in a while. I was switching jobs, so now I have time to listen to your show again.
Well, talk to me, my brother. Thank you so kindly for listening. Talk to me.
Well, I don't agree with everything you say, but I like listening to you. Did you mention earlier that you shouldn't have to have an ID to vote?
No. What I said is that we all know who we are. In other words, the government, the system, the city all know who we are. Our social security number, where we live, all that information is well known. If you have a driver's license, if you have any identification that can say this is who I am, you should be able to go in there and vote. You shouldn't have to register to vote, is what I said. And the reason I'm saying that is we know who you are. Go ahead, my brother.
So you're saying that you shouldn't you don't have to affiliate yourself with parties then?
No, register. I don't think, put it this way. I think the party system, especially now that we have the intercommunications that we have right now, I think the party system is one of the biggest detriment to our society right now. If you notice, there's a caller that calls in here often. His name is Joe. We are finally at the point where Joe called in once and said, Egberto, there are a lot of things that you talk about I agree with, but there are things that we probably will never agree on, mostly the social issues like abortion, etc. But if we were able to vote on policy, it's amazing where we could actually get this country. Would have things like basic income, would have things like people who are aggrieved, which has no party affiliation, whether you're poor or not, would get policies that support them. So I'm with you if what you're saying is we shouldn't really have to have something called party affiliation. Continue, my brother.
No, I don't. I'm not really. I don't like a party affiliations. I'm a MAGA guy, but I'll admit it, and I love it. But there shouldn't be all the stuff nowadays is just going crazy. The hate of each side. And it just
I don't hate you. You're MAGA. I don't hate you.
I know that.
And you know what else is so great about it? I bet you and I could sit down and have a cup of coffee and agree on about 80% of everything. I would wager. I would look. Put it. You should call me out on that. I would wager that if we sit down and have a conversation, we agree on more than 80% of stuff.
Well, I'm going to have to bring backup. I'll have to bring Bard and Brian with me.
I would love to have all of you together. Actually, I would love to have all of you together and sitting down around the table of coffee, as long as it's some good Panamanian coffee.
Oh, no. There would be, if it gets out of hand, then I'd put my foot down, because you don't do that. But another thing I wanted to bring up was all the stuff that's going on campuses. It's just nuts. I mean, I think I have to say Biden hit it when he said that there should be no violence involved. And from what I've read, that 50% of those people don't even attend school there, and they're protesting on the campus.
Okay, let me ask you this. I want to ask you, I mean, look, let's say those numbers are true, right? Let's call those numbers true. The University of Texas, right? You are a tax-paying citizen of Texas. If you decided that you wanted to go on the campus of the University of Texas and protest, you are simply protesting on a piece of land that you are also paying for. So I don't, people bring up argument or this points that I don't understand. What's the point? Because if you're, Colombia is a different.
I'll go with you on that one.
You're with me, right?
I'll go with you on that one.
Thank you.
I'll go with you on that one. But the violence part of it,
I disagree with violence, sir. And one of the things about protest is to make things uncomfortable so that people listen. And a lot of people who protest do things that are in fact illegal, and they pay the consequences for it. In other words, a lot of those kids will pay the consequences for the violent portion of the protest that they do. But they did it. So a lot of times they do it for a consequence. What I don't like violence against person or personal property. I am with you. But what I'm saying is protest is not made to make life comfortable for anybody. It's made to make life uncomfortable.
In jail to do that.
Right. So you agree with me?
Oh, I think they should rot in jail if they do that. They should be sentenced to the maximum fines and time.
Okay, stop. Okay, stop right there, brother. Jeff. So the people who sprayed bear spray on cops on January 6th, you agree with that? That should apply as well, right?
Well, on January 6th, I'm not real.
No. Wait. Again, hold on. Jeff, listen to me here. Listen to me here, my brother. If there were MAGA folks who sprayed bear spray on cops, if there are MAGA folks who stomped on cops' heads,
they should go to jail.
Okay, great. So again, remember what I said earlier. I said if you and I went for some coffee, I guarantee you would agree on most things, because what happens is sometimes we cater things through a false ideology. But when we sit down and look at facts and the same, if you listen to the show yesterday, Melissa called in and said, Egberto, you're actually justifying some of the stuff that happened on January 6th. I said, I wasn't justifying just January 6th. I was saying these guys had the right to protest. Doesn't mean they're right, but they have the right to protest. Now, and they also have the right to suffer the consequences of their protests. So I don't see where the disagreement is.
No, I mean they need to crack down on them. I mean, just these are kids that are going to school, and they're I'm not a racist at all, and they're putting anti-Semitic.
Hey Jeff,
I can't use that word.
Hey, Jeff, brother, let me just say one thing, okay? I have to go to 3 callers, and each of them will get 30 seconds. But I want you to call me back on Monday, because I want us to continue this discussion. All right?
Okay. All right.
Thank you, brother. Peace.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Okay, let's go to please join. Now here, Michael says, Egberto, it's rare when a MAGA supporter agrees about jailing the Jan 6 insurrectionists. And you're right about that. Oh, here is our beautiful Melissa calling in. Melissa, you must be reading our
Hello.
minds. We were just,
Hello,
we
hello,
spoke,
hello. I made it. I made it.
you made it. And you know what, Melissa? I was talking about you this morning. I was talking about you this morning at
Yes,
KPFT, and I just spoke about you just
yes.
now. I didn't know you. I was getting my feeling hurts that you
I
haven't
didn't
been showing
know.
up at our morning show.
I didn't know
Hey.
because literally I didn't hear any of it. I literally got into my car. I got into my car from my class, and I said, "Oh my God, I only got 10 minutes left, and he's about to be done. So let me call." But I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't hear anything you said. You was just on my mind, and I couldn't hear you because I was substituting in the class. But I wanted to say
Oh,
that I think it was yesterday. Day before, I
yeah.
think it was yesterday when I brought up that point about the
The MAGA was 2 days
the
ago. Two
January
days
6th.
ago. 2 days ago.
What? Yes,
Yes.
yes. My whole point was that we needed stress testers. I didn't mean that they were doing it right, or the youth were doing it right and somebody's doing it wrong. Not that. I'm talking about specifically stress testers. We need to be able to voice our concern no matter what team you on as a people. I mean, yes, it's unjust, and yes, it's never going to be proper protocol, because they don't. I mean, the hierarchy or the government, whoever don't want that. So, but we do have to address a concern if we have a concern. It was just about just the stress. I mean, the stress
But
tester part
Melissa,
that
I
I was
got it.
agreeing with you on.
Melissa, I got it
Okay.
from everything that you
Okay.
said. But let me tell you what I thought was important. I thought it was important that you, as
Mhm.
a very progressive woman, right, called in and actually said that
Yes.
about Jan 6 people, because it was what it said is that you were intellectually
Yeah.
honest and you understood what was going
Yeah.
on. You have a lot of
Yes,
progressives that
sir.
would come out there and say, well, those people on January 6th, they simply should not be there. No, they had a right to be there, even if they were there on
No.
false pretenses. Even if it's on fault, the
Yes.
difference, however, is
Correct.
many of them were insurrectionists. The insurrectionists are the ones who actually try
Right.
to change the and again and those are the ones paying the price in jail right now. And I think what you brought to the conversation 2 days
Yes.
ago, and let me tell you why I was so glad you said that, because I had a video that covered exactly what you were talking about with
That's crazy,
Anan
right?
Haddad
That's
Hidadas.
crazy.
It was crazy. And I'm like,
I'm
here she
always
says
I'm
this.
always ahead of my time. I didn't even know it was like we're synced, man. Great minds think alike.
Yeah,
But I was ahead of my time. I'm
absolutely.
always normally am. But yes.
But
So yeah. Okay, I'm
but
gonna
we
continue listening, but
and
I'm gonna have to rewind anyways.
no problem. You have a great day, my friend. Take care.
All right, love.
All right. Let me tell you this, because I think when we bring this up, right, and I think this is also create for a good dialogue with our MAGA brothers and sisters, right? Because when they come and they say, well, look at what these guys are doing in their protests, we were just protesting too. And if you listen to that conversation that I had with Jeff, where Jeff started to agree with what I was saying, it's because of the intellectual honesty that he heard, and also not only the intellectual honesty that he heard, but he also understood that it wasn't a tit for tat. It was, let me think about what you're saying. And then he gave me, again, he knows that I listened to what he had to say, but he also know that I listened to what he had to say. And that gave him permission to then agree with me when I said, hey, so what if on the campus of the University of Texas, 50% of the people were not students? Guess what? Every tax paying Texan owns the University of Texas. Every tax paying Texan owns A&M University. They may not own Rice, they may not own and these other private schools, which Columbia falls into that domain. But guess what? UCLA is a public university. All of Californians pay for UCLA. USC, private, it's a different story. Intellectual honesty in these conversations is what's required. And I think if everybody sees that folks are coming from that position of not just, I am going to see it one way, my way, or the highway, but say, let me see what my MAGA brother has to say here. Does it make sense? Now, here's the problem. We got a lot of MAGA brothers, some of them that are here, that simply makes no sense. And you don't make excuses when brother CSAC comes in and he quotes a crazy thing, a lot of times racially ticked. You don't give it credence because it's out of left field, because it is not factually accurate. But when Jeff calls in and say, hey, when MAGA protests, they had the right to do that. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. But they didn't have a right to be an insurrectionist, right? So you have to know what you're talking about. All right, Paul Fleming says the idea that billionaires should pay a minimum amount of income tax is not a radical idea, writes the economist Gabriel Suckman. A coordinated maximum tax on the super rich will not fix capitalism, but it's necessary first step. What we need to do is that is true. That is true. The problem with taxation is the problem with what we have with the way we talk about growth in this country is that it's unsustainable. By definition, the way our economy grows and the way it grows for some and not the other, and just a little bit for others, makes no mathematical sense. It's an equation without it's an equation whose solution means the masses approach zero. It's a derivative. It's a mathematical equation. I mean, if you and it's a simple equation. If the wealth is increasing at 7% and above, and the rest of the group is increasing at 2%, eventually the piece of the pie keeps getting lower and lower. It never reaches zero, but might as well. It keeps getting lower and lower. It's a mathematical equation. It is math. And the problem with people who go to business schools is that they don't learn. That's why I always said I would love all presidents to be engineers and scientists. Like, brother Bruce Pollard would make a good president. He's a scientist, right? Engineers and so forth, because they know that you are in a finite system and how you have things connected, etc. It is amazing. But anyhow, we are coming close to the end of the program, and I can't get to everybody whatever they have to say right now. Pero te voy a decir algo. I got to do my ask, and I want everybody to please listen to my ask. Please consider becoming a supporter of Politics Done Right. It is hard work, but it is rewarding work for a cause. And what cause is that? Our cause. Thank you, Michael Rudden, for having been here. It's our cause. Michael Rudden is a great supporter, continuous supporter, year after year, month after month. Thank you for the support you always give, Senor Rudden. Eric Hayes is a supporter. I had to throw that in there because some people say, people just say, Ryan is a supporter. I mean, a lot of supporters. Tom, a lot of supporters in here. Okay. If I didn't call you, it's because I'm just giving examples here. But please consider supporting our program. How can you do that? Go to politicsdoneright.com/support. And that is, by the way, Melissa, who just called in, is a supporter. Go to politicsdoneright.com/support. That gives you all the different methods in which you can support the program. But I would like more of you to become patrons. That is at politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Patreon. Politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Alternatively, you can support us by getting one or more of our books. And I promise you will learn a whole lot from our books. politicsdoneright.com/books. politicsdoneright.com/books. It even have 2 books that I consider fairly personal and 3 political. The personal book is on weight loss and how I did it and how I have to kind of take a few pounds off by following the same rules I write about. And the other one is on my experiences as an Afro-Latino Caribbean man. But then the rest are very political and instructive, and you will definitely love them. So go to politicsdoneright.com/books. Thank you, Eric. Linda has been improving day after day, doing fine. Also, consider supporting us by becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. How do you do that? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I send out a newsletter every morning at 5 a.m. with the program that we're doing at KPFT. And throughout the day, I would send out blogs that I write that I think would be of interest to the entire mailing list that I have. I have several mailing lists, but this is the one that I cater to, the Substack mailing list. Please consider becoming a paid supporter. How do you do that? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I am still trying to get to my first 100. All right. We are at, I think we closed at 78. I would love to close out 100 to start working on our second 100. I need about 1,000 of those, but grow slowly. And as people recognize your work, as people learn from your work, good things happen. So please consider becoming a paid subscriber by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. Don't forget, tomorrow it's Ask Egberto Anything. Just go to our, I better put that link in there again if I didn't. Oh, I lost it. Anyway, tomorrow's Ask Egberto Anything. Just go search for it, Ask Egberto Anything, or drop me an email at KPFT actually send it to info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.